I'd like to tell you about another author, more recent to our time, Wilhelm Camier. He was born somewhere between 1890 and 1900. No one knows for sure because of two world wars in Germany. Records have been destroyed. But he passed on in 1959. And he lived in a town in what was known as East Germany before the wall came down. And he was a lawyer and also served as a notary. And with those two trades, he gained quite an interest in ancient documents and had access to them. And finally, in 1926, he wrote a book called The Universal Falsification of History. The Universal Falsification of History. 292-page booklet. He found as a notary just why he got interested is he found so many of them were fraudulent. Of course, as a notary, he dealt with deeds to people's homes and businesses and whatnot too. But he found all kinds of strange anomalies in German history books. There's one mentioned here in the text of a Emperor Conrad, who is recorded in various documents as being present at sometimes 2 and sometimes 3 different distant cities, places where you couldn't possibly be in one place in the morning, the next at the evening, the next at night. And that the records show that the emperor was present on the same date at annual Christian feasts for 50 years in a row. Doing his studies, he finally said, let me read this to you, that the general condition of historical sources at the moment can be described as mind-boggling. The number of forgeries and every ancient work of history lacks an original. So it is not just the New Testament scriptures that are missing originals. All ancient documents lack these originals. However, historians keep using these forgeries in lieu of official documentation, possibly due to the fact that they have not yet proven to be forgeries, and the possibility that the proof does exist, but it is concealed from the scientific community. At any rate, these are corollaries that he finally arrived at through his studies, and they are all quite astounding. One, that humanists took part in the massive falsification of history alongside the Catholic clergy, striving to create some proof of the historical significance attributed to their church. This process falls in the 15th century, for the most part. The documents related to the pagan German history have been destroyed and replaced by Gaelic and Roman forgeries. The existence of Catholic pontiffs before the so-called Avignon captivity is a figment of people's imaginations. Historical events that preceded the 13th century are beyond reconstruction, since all of the early documents have been destroyed and replaced by counterfeits. The pre-papal wars between national churches were subsequently presented as struggles against heretics and apostates. Ancient literature is as much of a forgery as the medieval documents. One such fake literary work is Germany by Tacitus. The Catholic clergy can be credited with the invention of the New Testament, or at least a radical rearrangement of it. And finally, the Church keeps on manufacturing counterfeited ancient manuscripts in order to prove the authenticity of evangelical texts and their great age with aid of these new findings. In other words, the Dead Sea Scrolls most likely were just simply a plant by the Christian Church. And it's been more than 50 years, and with the exception of the documents that were given to John Allegro, who came out in fairly short order and revealed to the Republic in his writings that these books don't even mention a Jesus Christ, that the balance of the writings which were given to people of the Christian faith, whereas John Allegro was not biased by a faith, he was an atheist, that they still, to this day, have sat on most of that material and not made their findings public. All of our ancient history is falsified. In the next segment, I'd like to bring you even up further to date with yet another person who is alive today and has written quite a few volumes on this subject. So please bear with me.